This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
This is how it works nowadays. This is how the current climate, the culture, in this culture, this is how it works. You get a text from somebody. Yesterday, I got a couple. I got from Tom Shattuck here. I got one from Kirk Minahan, and it's the audio from the WEEI call of the Red Sox-Yankees game. And this text includes a tweet from someone named Grant Merrick, who is the editor-in-chief, I believe, of the San Francisco Chronicle. And he tweets it out and makes it look like Sean McDonough has got trouble. He's got trouble. He says, the Red Sox-Yankee game broadcaster, Sean McDonough, appears to mock Giants president of baseball operations name, Farhan Zahid. And I see it and I go, uh-oh, McDonough finally, McDonough's, he's can be a little edgy, a little outspoken. He speaks his mind sometimes. He's a little, he tries to be funny. He can be funny. And I said, uh-oh, Sean stepped in it. He made fun of a Muslim American's name. So I immediately think we got a big story. We got a big scandal. We got the latest, canceled guy. We got Mike Milbury or Chris Harrison or soon to be Sage Steele. We got a guy basically just making a little quip, not really offending anybody, but that, as we know, doesn't matter. It depends. Can you scare up a mob, harass his employer, who in this case is WEEI, which means you don't need to apply a whole lot of pressure. All you need to do is scare them a little bit, and they would throw Sean McDonough out with the trash. So I was thinking it doesn't take much in this case, if you're Sean McDonough, to really step in it, because then the company you work for is not going to have your back. It's not like they're going to go to bat for him. They're going to apologize, whatever, send him a sensitivity training, or just get rid of him. And then I listen to it and I say, even today, even by today's standards, where you're Sage Steele and you say literally nothing, or Mike Milbury is a better example, just say nothing offensive, absolutely nothing, but certain people don't like you, so they pressure your boss, and your boss just throws you to the wolves. As we all know, Entercom will throw anyone to the wolves in a heartbeat to save, save face, to avoid any hassle in public.
You sound like you're speaking from experience, Gerry. Have you ever been?
I've heard that's the way they do things. Get a couple of activists, and by the way, you got to hit the right nerves. You got to hit the right, offend the right people. And he's mocking a Muslim American general manager of the San Francisco Giants, not mocking him, mocking his name. So you tell me, I don't even know the answer to this, guys. It just happened. It just broke. Like last night, early, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock last night. And I'm thinking it's going to take, as it always does, a Twitter mob. It's going to take this guy, the editor-in-chief from the San Francisco Chronicle, or it's called San Francisco Gate. I think it's the online version. But will he be able to get the right people to feign outrage, because nobody's really outraged, to pretend they're offended? And I'm still not sure the answer, but I will. And he used to be a friend of mine. He's not anymore. I don't care if Sean McDonough is left twisting in the wind by Entercom at all. But I don't want to defend him, but I'm going to defend him, because we'll play it. And you tell me, is there enough here? Have you heard this yet, Turtle Boy?
I think I heard it briefly.
Okay,
I just started looking to it.
It's you tell me, even by today's standards, and we know if you offend the right people, it doesn't matter if they're faking it. It doesn't matter if you actually said something offensive. They're going to come after you, and if it's a special interest group like a Muslim American, like CARE or something like that, they're not offended, obviously, but the pressure. They know how to put pressure on corporations, on people, on CEOs, and we know the people in this case will buckle in an instant. So I wonder if anything will come of this. But let's listen, and you tell me if they could even make something of. Is there anything here that they can make something of and really go after Entercom and put the pressure on, and maybe make life difficult for McDonough? But let's listen.
By the Red Sox, 92 wins. Tell me who saw San Francisco's 107 wins coming.
Maybe nobody outside of Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler. They just did an unbelievable job. And who knows? Maybe we can have a World Series reunion.
Your GM's name is High Anxiety.
Here's the pitch to Kike. Foul back our way. Farhan Zaidi.
Oh.
So that I believe that's it. I believe that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Who is that offensive to? What culture?
Muslim Americans, are you kidding me?
High anxiety. But High is a Vietnamese name. There's Vietnamese people named High.
Farhan Zaidi.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
the only, I think, the first Muslim American baseball executive or first Muslim American in the front office running a club. He's the president of baseball operations, Farhan Zaidi. And Sean McDonough jokes that his name is High Anxiety. Now tell me how that could possibly be offensive. Just if your name sounds like something and you think it's remotely, funny.
But if you do it for an Asian name, you're going to get.
That's a good
get,
point.
That's it. Like, I could understand if the guy was Asian. I would still not think it's offensive, but whatever. At least that would make sense. That doesn't even make sense when it comes to offensiveness.
But it's a good point. A rare, valid point by Carano. Think of that. If it's an Asian name and it's that famous prank, they got the newsreader to read all the names of the people in the plane crash. It's one of the funniest things in history where they set that newsreader up, and she's like, "Fook, you also hurt in the plane crash was whatever, scratch my ass," and they're all playing off Asian names. It's priceless. But you can't do that. You can't mimic the accent of an Asian person or your life will be destroyed. You can mimic the accent of a French person or German or Irish or Southern, but if you imitate the accent of an Asian person, your career
you get in trouble. Right. You're exactly right. You can do the Southern accent every day. Or you do the Italian accent whenever you want.
You can do the Southern and make them seem stupid,
absolutely,
and ignorant and racist, and that's cool. You're just being Jeff Foxworthy, that's all. But if you do an Asian, as we know from experience, from our old friend Christian Fourier,
True.
They tried to destroy his life. And Entercom, of course, didn't have his back, forced him to fly all over the country doing sensitivity training because he made a joke that didn't offend anybody, but they pretended it did. So I'm wondering today, and it will be kind of comical if they do try to make a big deal out of this. Again, you're dealing with the San Francisco newspaper or news organization. Trust me, they don't care if things are actually offensive. They're looking to cancel people who they don't like. And I don't know if they know McDonough's politics or McDonough's history or anything, that it might not matter. He's a Boston guy, they're a San Francisco guy. I'd be curious to see if they do come after him, because at some point, don't people have to stand up and say he didn't do anything? I mean, I'm amazed that the Sage Steele thing is a thing.
Just to review, what's cancelable in San Francisco is calling someone high anxiety. That's cancelable. What's not cancelable in San Francisco is getting rid of the governor because when you're out to brunch, a guy is taking a dump 5 feet away from you, or getting rid of the mayor who literally broke her own mask mandate because she was feeling the vibe, or what was it?
Spirit,
She was feeling the spirit.
That's not cancelable.
No,
but this is just in San Francisco, just so we're clear.
I'm hoping it is. And they won't fire him. I mean, he obviously didn't do anything offensive, but it'll just highlight the absurdity of it all, that people are pretending. It's just so fake that anybody anywhere cares about a dumb joke that's not even funny. It's just kind of stupid. But I mean, Carano's right. If that's an Asian or a Korean or whatever, Japanese, Chinese, he's fired.
You're done.
He's already fired today, which is a little weird. I always think, what's the difference? I mean, I guess people say, but they're marginalized communities. Not really. I mean, Asian Americans or Muslim Americans really marginalized?
No, the Asians
better,
are doing the marginalizing. That's why they have to be kept out of Ivy League schools with affirmative action programs.
Whatever it takes to keep them out. They don't want to go above, 50% or 60% Asian. And they would if everything was judged on merit. All the top schools would, because they as a rule, they just work harder. I mean, they might be smarter, but they work harder. I always tell the story picking my daughter up she went to a real good private high school, and I'd pick her up at the library on Saturday night, like at 7, and it would be packed. And every kid in there would be Irish, Asian. No Irish kids in there. They're all drinking somewhere. Everyone in there.
I was in all the nerd classes in high school. I was in advanced placement classes. Like, I was the only white kid. Everyone was Asian. I was in the Asian club in my high school yearbook. This is not a lie. I'll show you the picture sometime. I was well embraced by it, but it's a pretty good stereotype. No, like, you're good in school. There are worse stereotypes out there.
Yes, and I mean, it's not. You could say they're smarter, and I don't know if it's obviously they do better on SATs, which is why schools like Harvard have to weigh them and deny Asians entrance even when they qualify. But they also just work harder, and I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, these are high school kids. We're talking 15, 16-year-old kids on Saturday night in the library till midnight. The Tiger Mom thing is real. They work harder, they get pushed harder, they have higher expectations and standards. They're not marginalized by any means, but you know what? Muslim, I don't even know where Farhan Saidi is from, but if he's celebrated as the first Muslim American, you can't make fun of him at any level. I mean, that's definitely crossing the line. I think he'll be forced to apologize, and I don't think he gets sensitivity training, although, Entercom loves to send people to sensitivity training as if that ever works.
It didn't work on you?
No, which time? Let me think. No, I mean,
you guys should have done, I would have loved a live recap the next day of everybody wanted to know what happened at that sensitivity training, Gerry.
Well, the one when I went to was where we had to get lectured by trans activists. There was a couple trans activists. There was an actual guy who transitioned, a woman transitioned to a guy, and then the mother of a young trans child sat there, and we got along fine. It was fine. We had to sit there and listen to whatever stories and for I don't know, a couple hours. But I mean, you don't walk out of there with your life views changed. I mean, you just sit there and look at the clock and say, when can I finish? It's like doing a detention in high school. You don't actually, get more sensitive because I don't feel like we were insensitive.
Like, you can't legislate heart. They got to come to a realization on their own. That's just
imagine the reverse just for a moment. Like, let's say you say something in favor of illegal immigration, right? You're like, we should have amnesty or something like that. Should you have to go to sensitivity training and sit down with the mother of a woman killed by an illegal immigrant? Because that sounds like the same thing.
I know, and I'll take it just to apply it to this situation where you have trans activists, and we got into. Did we ever get an update? I forgot to ask you on the Sonic manager. We talked about it.
I haven't seen anything yet.
I haven't either, and I tweeted out that if they fire him, we're going to join the boycott because it'll go nationwide boycott of Sonic. And if they don't, we're going to have a show outing.
And by the way, you guys yesterday, no offense, but you kept referring to him as her. And I think that's part of the problem. You guys are giving in these little things in the culture. That's like a year ago. That was a full-fledged dude.
Well, I call you Turtle Boy. Your name's not Turtle Boy, but I call you Turtle Boy if she wants to be called a her.
I will explain to you.
But that's wrong. It's not a her. It's a he.
But you're not a Turtle Boy either.
I will
that's a nickname. That's different. Stop that. That's a horrible comparison.
I will give you my take on this, Turtle Boy. I hear you. And you do have to indulge them at a certain level. I think fighting over a pronoun, you get caught up in the wrong thing. I mean, call yourself whatever you want. You can change your name. You can change your pronouns. You can't bully the manager of a Sonic because he didn't know what to. And by the way, he didn't call you the wrong name. He asked you what you'd like to be called. This woman, this person, whatever you want to call her, Turtle Boy, is a bully and a really horrible person. And we're waiting. The jury's out. We're going to wait to see what Sonic does. If Sonic, and they're messing with the wrong people because you think the Sonic customer, the average Sonic customer, is going to side with the trans activist who went there for the express purpose of bullying somebody that day. And her credit card had a male name on it, and she had a male's voice, and the guy in the drive-thru assumed it was a male. And then the manager said, "What do you want me to call you?" And she said, "What do you think I am? What do you think I am?" And the guy told the honest truth. You got a man's voice. yeah, you're obviously, were a man. And he said, I don't know, sir. And then by the way, she doesn't want him fired. She wants him sent to sensitivity training.
Oh, of course.
That
Yeah.
one of his friends will teach, no doubt about it.
You get right. That's a good point. If you get caught up in pronouns, I think you missed the bigger picture.
Nope.
You're allowed to do
Gerry,
that.
that fight was about pronouns. The whole fight was about pronouns, and you gave him exactly what he wanted by calling him her. I don't give in to the enemy. This is the problem with conservatives. We give them, oh, that's not worth fighting that battle. You know when liberals say that? Never. They've never, ever seen a battle that they're not willing to fight.
That
Two
is
wrongs
true.
don't make it right.
Yes, they do.
No,
Of
they
course
don't.
they do.
No,
This
that's-
is war. This
I mean,
is war. This is
this
a
is not
culture
war.
See, if you
war.
get caught up in pronouns, you missed the big picture where trans women are beating up girls in track, or beating girls, bullying girls in track, or bullying girls in basketball or weightlifting. Call yourself whatever you want. That's victimless. Do what but you can't, you turn and because of your advantage, beat up on girls and ruin girls' sports. You get caught up on pronouns, you miss the real picture, the real cultural battle, which is, in this case, would be saving girls' sports or defending, a hardworking manager at Sonic. And I kept waiting for, the usual suspects to chime in on this on Twitter, on social media, and take the side of the trans bully against the poor manager of Sonic, who just wanted to placate this asshole customer. Just do, what do you want me to call you? Here's your food. Probably would have given it the food for free, but she went out there looking. She was out there hunting.
Yeah, she looked like she was looking for a fight, and no one likes a bully. So I think, I have hope in humanity that they.
He already won. You're calling her she.
Opinion.
He got what he wanted. He wanted to be called she, and you're doing it. So he won.
And do you think anybody sees things her way, his way, whatever you want to call the trans? What's her name? Eden. Eden was the new name. The old name is some male name on the credit card, but the new name is Eden. Do you think Eden won the day? Because I don't. I mean, I think she overplayed her.
No, she looked terrible. She looked like a bully.
Right, and by the way, she put.
Doesn't matter if she looked like a bully.
Doesn't matter.
You're calling her she. He won.
Okay,
he won.
If she doesn't get the manager fired, Turtle Boy, or sent to sensitivity training, she didn't win.
Exactly.
Maybe she got a free cheeseburger. We don't know.
This isn't about the manager, Gerry. This isn't about the manager. It's getting people like you to comply. That's exactly what this is about. Doing a bigger thing so you'll
who cares? The pronoun doesn't matter.
Right. You're making my point. You can get caught up in the pronoun. What if she changes her name? What her name before was Russell, and now it's Eden.
That's okay. You can change your name to whatever you want, but you cannot change your gender. That's not a thing. And as long as we accept this premise as conservatives, we're just going to keep giving up everything in the culture war. Because you can't do that. It's impossible. I don't think
we gave up in this case is my whole point. I think this backfired. I think he, whatever you want to call Eden, I think Eden overplayed her hand and it backfired. That's my take, but we're going to still follow the story and see if Sonic fires him, because I don't think they understand the backlash that is coming. I really don't. I think there is no defending the trans activist. But you know what, Carano, there rarely is. I mean, usually in these cases, the person, like there's a famous video in the store when there's a transgender guy, a woman who's used to be a guy, and he's big and he's strong, and he's yelling at the clerk for not calling him ma'am. Same thing. I think the person called him sir. I'm a ma'am, she's saying, and she's big and obviously, used to be male. Identify as male, doesn't anymore. And the poor clerk is like, I don't know what to call you. Please leave me alone. People don't like bullies. You're right. They don't like bullies.
They don't.
And I think most people would agree with me. You call yourself whatever you want. I'll call you whatever name. Make it up. I'll tell you look pretty if it makes you feel good. You just don't get to push people around. You don't get to bully them. You certainly don't get to force the company to send them to, re-education camp, which is what it is. And this poor guy, I mean, it used to be, and we talk about this in so many, this applies in so many the stories of late, but it used to be, the media would defend the underdog, and this is a big thing with Tucker, and I agree with him, believe it or not, 100%, that the media used to hold the powerful accountable. They used to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. That has been flipped on its head. And I don't know if it was, again, one of those Trump phenomenons, but the media, at least over the last 5 or 6 years, has its role has been reversed. The media now comforts the powerful, comforts the comfortable, protects the state, defends Fauci, and we'll get to that fraud again, defends the regime. In the case of, and this is the reason Tucker went off, is in the case of the parents versus the school boards, and they're bringing the FBI in to, monitor, which is insane.
The schools work for the parents.
Schools work for the parents, and the parents are out there with one goal in mind, to look out for their children.
Absolutely.
This is the most natural thing in the world. And so they go there and berate some school boards because their school boards are insisting that, 6-year-olds learn about gender fluidity or critical race theory. They don't want that. These are the parents. They want their children to learn to read and write and do math.
I don't like any of the social stuff. I don't like the sex ed, any of that in school at all. That should be a family. These should all be family discussions. Teach reading, teach writing, teach math, teach history.
Right, and especially for young kids, 6, 8-year-olds, and they're going to learn about transgender, whatever. Right, it's just madness. The parents know it. They're going there. I mean, not only do the school boards work for the parents vote them in, the parents pay them with their tax money. And think of the insanity of bringing in the federal government, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and labeling these people, these parents, concerned parents, domestic terrorists. Two things make this so friggin' insane. Is this radical Merrick Garland never called BLM terrorists, never called Antifa terrorists, as they burned and looted and destroyed businesses and burnt police stations down and threw bricks at cops. Those were terrorists. The parents who stand up and say, you people are child abusers because you're making 6-year-olds wear masks for 7 hours a day. Those are terrorists, and we're going to use the Patriot Act to go after them. And the thing that Tucker was talking about was, it used to be when something like this happened, the media would kind of reflexively defend the underdog, the parent, upset, angry parent, versus the Department of Justice, which is obviously an overreach. Now, he played clips from CNN and MSNBC. Now they defend the deep state. They defend the Department of Justice and go after the parent who's just looking out for his child.
And it's not even a federal, it shouldn't even be a federal purview. That's not what they should be paying attention to. These are local issues.
Just work with the ridiculous premise that, that school boards' lives feel threatened or their safety feels threatened by angry moms and dads. Think of this. So you got a school board meeting. It gets a little, tense. The parent, say it's a father who's big and strong and scared, stands up and starts yelling and pointing. What do you do first if you're, there's a cop, say, on detail, or just a security guard on detail? He calls the local cop, right?
Sure, yeah.
Are you telling me the local cop can't handle that?
Can't come in and de-escalate? Come on.
Can't come in and arrest the guy if that's what it requires.
Well, if they're being violent, yeah.
And okay, say they can't. Say it's, Mayberry RFD. There's just, one cop and he's not. What's the next thing you do? Call the state police.
Sure.
The state police comes in if it's really scary, and there's a couple of parents who are angry.
I'm pretty sure every state has a state police too.
I'm pretty sure they do.
That?
Hell, they all have a National Guard. Bring them in. Think of the leap you have to get to, and this should chill everyone to the bones. That your attorney general and your president, well, not your president, but the people pulling the strings, the vice president, Susan Rice, Barack Obama, who's ever making the call, Dr. Jill, they want to circumvent local cops, state police, any local authority, go right to the federal government and not some, bureaucrat at the Department of Education. They want to go to the FBI and use the Patriot Act to label parents domestic terrorists. How does that not scare everyone? I know there are people out there that, hate, that want to teach critical race theory, that love, gender fluidity studies and sex ed for 6-year-olds and masking up everybody. But you really want the FBI involved in this? It's just, and so they sat back and watched for 6 months as genuine domestic terrorists, Antifa scum, burned buildings, burned businesses,
took over parts of cities.
Yeah, literally took over and declared them sovereign nations in the Chaz zone in Seattle, where people were murdered. Those aren't terrorists. These are the angry mom saying, I don't want my 6-year-old to learn about, gender fluidity. That's a terrorist. How's that not scary? Unnerving for everybody.
The United States is the most powerful country on earth, and if they just point their eye at you, there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. It's the scariest thing.
And it's worse than ever now.
I mean, way worse than
ever. Again, we've gone over this a lot, but they're doing everything they accused Trump of doing, which was all made up. They're weaponizing the DOJ. Oh, we're one step from fascism. That's the kind of stuff you heard, which was absurd because it was Trump versus the entire deep state. The entire swamp was against the guy in the White House. Now they're all in the same team, including big tech, including big media, academia. They're all in the same team, and they're targeting parents who are concerned enough about their kids that they go to a meeting and say, I don't want my kids to learn this. These are parents, for the most part, who can't afford to send their kids to private school or homeschool. They got to go to work. And they're saying, wow, when did this happen? I mean, over the last couple of years?
At least in the Soviet Union, they didn't have the tracking tools that, they didn't have all the big data behind them where they could really find it out. This is like trajectory towards China for me. This is as the government gets more and more powerful. That's how I feel.
I know you're a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like you're onto something in this case, man. It is scary, and as I say all the time to Turtle Boy and Shattuck and these guys with little kids, I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm not that. I would lose my mind.
Oh yeah.
I would go to those meetings just on the mask rule alone, because if you're paying any attention at all, there's absolutely no reason for children to wear masks. The U.S. has the strictest mask policies when it comes to children.
Yeah,
in the whole world. In Europe, they don't mask up children because there's no reason to. There's no reason to here. It's just about complying. It's about forcing this mandate on you to make you submit. And then they sit there and say, what next? What are we going to do next? They're getting off on this kind of control, and there's no end to it, man. When they're, targeting, the military, or I don't know if you saw this, there's a police union, a sergeant's union in New York City. And they're known as the most conservative union. They don't support Biden. They raided their offices, the FBI, a couple of days ago. They raided the offices because they're the political enemy. If you are the political enemy of the regime, of the deep state, they're coming for you. And they know the media, for the most part, has their back. They know big tech, despite the charade of a hearing we saw earlier this week with the whistleblower, the only whistleblower in the world with a PR team and lawyers, and soon to have a book contract
and head of a new department.
She wants to be the head of a new bureaucracy. And gee, what do you think this big fangirl of AOC, what do you think she's going to do when she's in the position to regulate, to oversee big tech, to oversee the social media giants? You think she'll be looking for more free speech and more ideas and, welcoming in the people into the big tent? Or do you think she's there to suppress dissenting voices? That's her whole goal. I was glad to see everybody eventually saw through it and kind of exposed this fraud, Frances Haugen.
Yeah.
And as Glenn Greenwald pointed out, he spent much of his career with whistleblowers, with Snowden, and that's how he made his name, Glenn Greenwald. That's how he made the website that he founded, Intercept, was, talking to whistleblowers and exposing the deep state. And he's, totally devoted to getting Assange freed. And so he supports Snowden, and he said, typical whistleblowers, they lose everything. They lose their job.
Great cost.
They sometimes they end up in jail, like Assange. This isn't a whistleblower. She's probably had dinner last night with Nancy Pelosi, or maybe with Mika and Joe, at the Palm. That's not a whistleblower. They weren't even subtle about it. She's going to testify now about January 6th. She's a wonk from Facebook who was brought in because allegedly of her expertise about how Facebook uses, algorithms to exploit young children. That was their way to get in the door. Once she got in the door, she pointed out, we have too much misinformation out there. We have to stop it. We have to flag these accounts that, don't support the regime. That woman is going to testify on January 6th. Why?
I don't know what
She wasn't in the Capitol.
I don't know.
She's an expert now on insurrections.
They're gonna make the case that Facebook was a breeding ground for that, and a way for them to communicate and organize in order to.
Well, we know Facebook
storm the Capitol,
right, and end our democracy and behead the vice president. I guess we're going to continue with this. I was flipping around the channels this morning, and Fox News and all the, ESPN. I flipped to CNN or MSNBC. Both of them were doing some segment on January. It's all they do is January 6th, insurrection,
and COVID.
I mean, it's like they're never going to let it go. They're going to have hearings, and they will just every day talk about how we almost lost our democracy, and they say it with a straight face, which is kind of comical. All right, we got a lot to get to. We've already said that we're going to spare the life of Sean McDonough, even though I'm not a fan.
You keep saying that. You don't want to talk about it?
No, it's sure. I'll talk.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, I'm super curious.
I was a friend of his for years, but when he got rid of me, he called me that day and said, "This is awful. They don't know what they're doing. They said you got screwed." Blah, blah, blah. And then, like 2 days later, I'm listening to the radio, and he goes on with Hill and Curtis,
and
says how happy he was with them and how the show's going to be great. And, and I'm listening. I'm going, that's the same guy who just called me and said what a mistake it was. So, you learn when you face
that's shitty.
When you deal with something like that, you learn who, your real friends are.
Do you feel like he was just acting though on air, just kind of being, I don't know.
Yeah, which makes it worse.
I guess
it worse.
I guess.
I mean, all you had to do was just decline. I'm not going to do it. We were good friends, trust me. And
did you ever talk to him about it afterwards?
No, I just said
you just cut him off.
I went off on Twitter. Yeah, because I went off on Twitter on what a phony he is. And he called me, but I didn't. I don't want to talk to him. I mean, like I said, you learn. When
you got a
like
quick hook,
yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yeah,
quick hook.
Well, it's one thing, if you say something, whatever. I mean, that's pretty two-faced. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Sit there and say, "Oh, it's great to hear you. You guys, you got to be great." I'm going, wait a second. Two days ago, you told me what a mistake it was, and now you're telling me they're going to be great. Well, I guess he was wrong about it, but whatever. He's a chameleon, and he works. I didn't even know, to be honest with you. I saw a Lou Merlone video, and he was tweeting during the Red Sox games. Yeah. I thought he did the Red Sox games. I thought he was like the color man.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
He's not?
No, because that's the booth. McDonough with Will Fleming. I assume Joe Castiglione fell asleep. I mean, he's obviously the less you hear from him, the better.
I'm so far behind. I thought McDonough was actually on. He's not on the TV broadcast.
No, he's on radio. That's the Red Sox broadcast.
From
without Lou Merlone, which is weird.
That is weird.
Lou is very good at it, and he's good, and he's angry and critical. He's a really good color man. McDonough's not. He's just there for, to stay in touch with Boston. And the other guy, he's fine. At least the other guy knows who Fareed, what's his name again?
Oh, no. You're going to make me remember.
Oh, well, let me guess. High anxiety?
That's right.
By the way, it doesn't even rhyme, does it?
No, I guess it was close enough. It wasn't that good of a joke. It was close enough.
All right, I got a dilemma on what to watch this weekend. I'm going to ask you to choose for me, to help me out. We got the ratings of Saturday Night Live. Shocking ratings, the worst ever for their new season. And we got another fraud mask fanatic who's only doing it for the cameras, which is the case with most of them. And finally, someone in the mainstream media has done right by Dr. Fauci. Finally, they're going to give him the reward, give him the publicity, the coverage, the admiration, the adoration that he deserves. We'll tell you about that and a whole lot more in today's Callahan Show, brought to you by DCU. Do you love your car but hate your car payment? No problem. Refinance your car today with DCU, and they can help lower your monthly payments, lower your interest rate, or both. Applying is easy, and their loan experts will help you find the loan term and the payment that fits into your budget. Get out of that high-rate loan and get the interest rate and the payment you deserve from DCU. Learn more and apply today at dcu.org/refinance. Insured by NCUA. Membership required. And I'm going to ask you this, Carano.
Yep.
If this, we got a show tomorrow. We got a show on locals. I'm very excited about. But there's a couple things, and it's got to that time of year where, like in the summer, I don't like watch TV all weekend. I'll do other things. I'll take walks, paddleboard. Yeah, but I'm gonna watch some TV now. It's football season. You got to watch some football. But I'm looking for something for Friday, Saturday night. And here are my choices. Here are
Okay.
the choices. You tell me what you would do. Maybe you could pick one too.
Sure.
The new Dave Chappelle special, which is called Closer. The Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos movie, which I was really looking forward to, but some people beat me to it, and it's really, I'm not that excited about it anymore. Or the new Dr. Fauci documentary. By the way, does this have a name? Is this called just Fauci?
I think it's Fauci. That's what the video
It's not called
shows,
like Saint Fauci or anything.
I think it's just Fauci. No, it should be Saint Fauci.
Jesus Fauci, our Lord and Savior.
Right.
Nothing like that.
The best man that ever lived, Fauci.
But it's a Disney Plus documentary, and it is the most dishonest pile of crap. I'm just going by the trailer, but we can play that. I'll tell you where I'm leaning. I'm leaning to see Chappelle, obviously, because I want to do it. We got a cut from it that's just great. And The Many Saints, I was planning on watching. The previews were great. The trailer was great. I love The Sopranos. I put that as Sopranos in my life would probably be the second best TV show of my life.
What's number one?
That'd be All in the Family, of course. There's no even debate. But the reviews are so freaking bad. I mean, I got Minahan texted me as soon as he saw it, said it's freaking awful, but he can be tough grader. I started reading reviews. I read John Nolte from Breitbart, their movie. He destroys it. Not saying it's flawed or this is meandering or anything like that. Just saying it is the worst piece of crap. I don't remember seeing a movie for which I had high hopes
get
reviews
destroyed.
There's not even mixed reviews.
There's only one person that I've heard that said that it was halfway decent, and that is Blind Mike. He's the only one that said I didn't mind it, but Kirk made a good point that he can't see, and I guess a lot of the problems are the visual problems.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
I looked at the reviews for the most part, and I hate when they just say this, that it was confusing or this was pointless or this, they went off on this tangent and made no sense. I like it to be, I like it to make sense. I don't want, I'm trying to think of a movie like Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Don't try to confuse me. Don't try to, I know I'm easily confused. I don't want to be confused. Just tell the freaking story. I had my doubts going in and it's a weird thing, but Tony Soprano's son or James Gandolfini's son is the lead. And it doesn't work, at least not in the trailer or previews. I know he's legit because he's his son, but it doesn't feel like that's young Tony, does it?
I haven't even seen it. I haven't seen any of.
You haven't seen the trailer?
I don't even want to look.
You avoid the trailer.
Well, I don't have TV. I just have Netflix and all those stuff. So
it's online.
But I don't even want to. So you asked me the question, what would I would recommend Chappelle. There's no way. I'm not going to waste my time with Many Saints of Brooklyn. There's no way. I'm not going to waste my time with that. Newark, whatever. I'm going to be so pissed.
Me either, because I don't want to get pissed, and I'll get pissed.
That's what's going to happen.
It feels like they had a great opportunity. We're all in on The Sopranos, and you've got all those old clips. Like I can't get enough of Christopher Moltisanti. Michael Imperioli. I can't get enough of him.
I'm going to hear that voiceover though, and it's going to make me want to shoot it.
I would say I said Val Kilmer's the greatest supporting actor ever in a movie. I would say Michael Imperioli is the greatest supporting actor ever in a TV series.
Well, you were wrong in that first one because you forgot about Daniel Day-Lewis and Gangs of New York, which is I
don't like that movie. The movie gives me a
great
headache.
one.
Gives me a headache. I don't like.
And
he
is fantastic.
I love Tombstone.
Tombstone's
you
great.
gotta love the movie.
I do love it.
And Pesci in Goodfellas.
That's another good
level
one.
as a supporting actor.
Right.
But a supporting actor in a TV series, I would say Michael Imperioli is my favorite. And I love, all those guys were great in supporting roles. I was all in when it was, new every Sunday. I was all in. I loved it. And this is just going to disappoint me and say, you know what? I'm not going to watch it yet. And I'm just kidding when I say this Fauci thing. Because have you ever seen in your life, and you're younger than I am, you don't watch as much, you don't observe as much of this nonsense as I do.
I try to stay away.
Have you ever seen a greater divide between the perception of Fauci on the left and perception of Fauci on the right?
Oh.
And I understand, I understand what he's doing. He's sleazy and he's narcissistic, but he's not dumb. He ingratiates himself to the right people, which provides protection. We literally learned that Fauci sent our money, funds to the Wuhan lab to help finance the creation of a virus that has killed 3 million, 4 million people, or 700,000 Americans. It's killed 700,000 Americans. And the guy who sent the money to the lab to finance the creation of this is untouchable.
He's just on TV. He's
on
just
TV
hanging out
every
on
day.
TV.
I mean, he doesn't go on Fox anymore. He used to. He's strictly MSNBC, CNN kind of guy, or, goes on left-wing podcasts or whatever, goes on his podcast. I don't know. Just will do anything, everything. He went on Barstool. He went on with Big Cat and Sunglasses Guy. That's how much this guy was everywhere for a while. He still is, as we know. He's wakes up in the morning and the makeup artist is there to put the makeup on him. But we know.
You see this?
What is it? Oh, the rating?
Yeah.
The rating of the movie or the trailer? Is that the rating? I mean, not movie, the documentary.
The movie's out. So it's 2.0 stars out of 10 with 2,300 people have rated this thing.
So we'll play the trailer, but tell me how bizarre it is. Like, he's flip-flopped a million times.
God. Wear your mask, don't wear your mask. Over and over. We played those cuts earlier.
He's a polarizing figure, a divisive figure, right? There are people who don't like him. And to me, the real, you want to really look at the dark side of Tony Fauci. Ask yourself this. Does he ever talk about young people hurting themselves? Does he ever talk about suicide? Does he ever talk about drugs? Does he ever talk about families struggling, domestic violence with the shutdowns?
None of the unintended consequences matter to him.
Right, never.
None.
Does he talk about the damage he did to the economy? Does he talk about the millions of small businesses that he destroyed? I mean, it's a mixed record by any standard, right? I mean, I realize that he might not be the villain that some on the right make him out to be, but he's certainly no hero. He's certainly no saint. I mean, he is as responsible for the damage to the economy, the damage to education, young people, as anybody. I mean, we took his word. 2 presidents have now listened to his advice, and he's been wrong about everything, including now where he wants to mandate vaccines on 6-year-olds. But I mean, you could do a documentary with the mixed record, right? You could have both sides.
Yep.
You could have interview, and over here you could interview, whatever, Mark Levin, talk about how, and over here you could interview whatever, Rachel Maddow, who loves him. Instead, they go all in on the Fauci worship and totally ignore whatever negative consequences have
but it's so hard to be Fauci. He cares so much. He's a public servant. The tears.
And by the way, he cooperates with this documentary just like he cooperates with every magazine, Vanity Fair and the New York Times and New Yorker and all the magazines and newspapers that want to do these glowing hagiographies. He's always available to them. Hell, he's available to anybody. He's got his little makeup kit ready to go and his TV outfits, and he's ready to go on TV at any time. When does he ever, doctor? When does he ever scientist?
Oh, those days are over.
When does he ever? I mean, he's leading this
just a
massive
political
bureaucracy.
operative at this point. They just tell him what they want him to say.
Does he ever work?
I don't think so.
All right, maybe the trailer will suck me in. Sometimes, when you're looking for a movie on Netflix or on demand, and you play the trailer,
yeah,
it looks
that'll
awesome.
Get you. Yeah,
and you watch and you go.
Every Bruce Willis movie now is like that, where it's like, oh, this.
I did that the other night with the Tom Hanks movie News of the World.
Yeah,
and I got sucked in by the trailer.
How was it?
It's a big budget movie, so it's okay. I didn't hate it. Some people hate it. It's kind of stupid. It's just like they incur one disaster after another, one attack after another, dust storms and Indians.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have to make it through. And I don't know. You haven't seen it. I don't want to give it away, but guess. Do you think Tom Hanks and the little girl live at the end?
Oh, they live.
How did you know?
Oh, I know.
Damn,
that never
smart.
happens. That never happens.
I was shocked. I kept waiting for the Indians or the bad guys, the criminals, to behead them.
To win.
Yeah, they never did. They lived. I gave it away. Tom Hanks lives in News of the World. But
that movie.
It was okay. I guarantee it's better than this documentary. Do you have the name again? Fauci?
It's called Fauci. Yeah.
Fauci.
And it is live. It's on. I just checked. It's on Disney Plus right now.
Maybe this will suck me in.
Okay, but this is 2 minutes long, so just stop it sometime. Okay,
we'll go. We'll go.
Right.
We'll do a minute.
Okay, here we are.
God help us.
In a world.
When I think about my dad growing up, I certainly think about that seriousness and wanting to do the right thing. At the same time, very few people get to see. He's funny, weird, and really playful.
You can't take everything seriously because then you'll start thinking that you're something that you're not. I loved clinical medicine. The idea of discovery and having an impact on people. That's what really captured me. I grew up in a somewhat tough neighborhood in Brooklyn. The culture is that you didn't get intimidated by a lot of things. When someone attacks, I don't immediately fight back. It's nothing personal, it's strictly business. In 1981, HIV/AIDS was evolving rapidly and frighteningly. There was anger at the response.
We accused Tony of causing those deaths.
Finally, I put myself into their shoes. That's when I started to really reach out.
It was pretty much the first and only time I think anybody in government came to us.
That changed everything.
When you got sick, you were gone fast.
It was so frustrating when you're used to fixing things and you're just not really fixing anything.
It's affecting you now.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it killed people.
Post-traumatic.
Sorry, it's just
Wait,
it's so bad.
He has
It's so-
post-traumatic stress.
It's so bad.
That is that the classic narcissist. We're talking about HIV, which killed I don't know how many, and then we're talking about COVID, which killed 700,000 and counting. And he says he has post-traumatic stress. You know what You know what's gonna happen on Christmas Eve when I am by myself because Fauci said, we
Don't
might
see
not
your
be able to
family.
gather. I'm going to be by myself, watch TV, have my Thanksgiving turkey. On Christmas Eve, he turns 81. 81. If you cared so much about your children and grandchildren, I don't know, wouldn't you spend some time with them instead of spending all your weekends, with Chuck Todd and Jake Tapper? I mean, what a fraud. And honest to God, there are people, this is a Disney production. How many people think worked on it? Hundreds and hundreds. Did anyone sit there and say, this guy's a fraud. This guy is just an egomaniac crying on cue. I think I'm going to skip that, Carano.
I'm not watching that thing.
We've already dismissed. So I guess maybe
It's only Chappelle. That's the option.
Maybe it's Chappelle.
His last two specials were great.
And let me say this: Chappelle is not the funniest guy. He never was. And sometimes I don't even know if I classify him as a stand-up comic. He's more of a pundit, more a polemicist.
Yeah.
I mean, an observer of the scene and of the culture, which is what I like. I mean, I like that better than like Seinfeld coming out and telling one line. Or Bill Cosby, who's face of the giant in the industry, coming out and telling harmless one-liners. I'd much rather have a guy like this, who is going to step in it, who is going to upset some people. But there's a trailer that includes this thing on DaBaby. See, I count on you because you're younger and hipper than I am to tell me all about these young musicians.
DaBaby.
And you don't know anything about DaBaby.
No, I'd never heard about
fan of DaBaby.
Are you?
But apparently DaBaby is a fairly big name. In fact, let me Google. I want to know his hits and songs and success. And why don't you tell me a little bit more about DaBaby? How old is DaBaby?
DaBaby was born in December 1991, so that makes DaBaby 30 years old now.
Is he? Is that his Christian name? DaBaby.
It's Jonathan Lindale Kirk. That's a strange name. Like KRK is his last name.
And he changed it to DaBaby.
DaBaby, yes.
DaBaby is a controversial rapper. I'm not sure how good he is.
Well, he peaked at his debut album in 2019, peaked at number 7 on the Hot 200.
Wow.
That's the album chart. Those are album sales.
You do know your stuff.
Yes.
So DaBaby is kind of controversial mainly because he mocked gay people. He mocked the AIDS. I think it's I read the joke. I didn't even get it or whatever. It's a joke. Something he said about HIV, but he's kind of has a reputation as a homophobe. Would that be accurate?
That's what I've heard.
Which a number of rappers have gone there, been accused of that. And I did not know. I mean, I'm sure I've heard him, talk about gay or sing about gay things and get some hot water. I didn't realize until I heard from Chappelle that DaBaby killed a guy in Walmart.
Well, if you look at how it's presented, this is how it's presented on Wikipedia. Kirk was involved in an incident in Huntersville, North Carolina, where a 19-year-old man was shot in the abdomen and died soon after. Well, how was he involved? They don't even go on to that. He confirmed his involvement in the shooting What did he shoot him then? And said he acted in self-defense. Oh, so he did shoot him. The most serious charges were dropped in March, and he pleaded guilty to carrying a concealed weapon.
So he
killed a guy
and kills a guy in Walmart and pleads guilty to carrying a concealed weapon.
That's right.
I mean, I know he's not a white supremacist, but shouldn't you get in more trouble than that for shooting a guy in Walmart?
I think if you shoot and kill someone, probably, unless it was self-defense.
Chicago, where they don't charge anyone with murder anymore.
They don't even like find it anymore.
But this is right up Chappelle's alley, and I think he makes it a point, goes out of his way to offend all the right people, which is what I like about him. So I think I'm all in on Chappelle. But let's get a little snippet of his latest stand-up on Netflix called The Closer, where he talks about the baby.
LGBTQ community doesn't know the baby's history. He's a wild guy. He once shot a and killed him in Walmart. Oh, this is true. Google it. The baby shot and killed a in Walmart in North Carolina. Nothing bad happened to his career. Do you see where I'm going with this? In our country, you can shoot and kill a but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings.
That's pretty good. So I'm in. He hooked me in with that, and I like the idea. I know what Chappelle, when he goes into a special or performance, his goal is to trigger some people, usually the right people, and you can't put him in a box. You can't say, oh, he's a liberal, a conservative, he's a racist, homophobe. I mean, he's an equal opportunity offender.
Yep.
Who goes out of his way to, by the way, casually use the N-word, because you're not supposed to do that anymore. And he's going to do that because he's too big to cancel.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like about him. These things would get a lesser man, a lesser comedian canceled, right?
Yeah, it would.
Which is what's good about him. He goes out of his way to do them, things that would get you canceled, which means he's a one-man protest of cancel culture.
No one should be off limits in comedy. That's what makes it funny. And the fact that now we have this very narrow idea of who we can make fun of means comedy's mostly dead, but Chappelle's the one person doing it.
Well, I think it applies to the news, as we said earlier. Yeah. The news was supposed to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflict. They do the opposite now. They do not try to lampoon the powers, the powerful, the powers that be, the deep state, the regime. Those are off limits. You can make fun of whatever, rednecks or something. You can make fun of, dumb, white people down south or something, but you can't make fun of the president or the president's crackhead son.
Yeah.
That's off limits. Chappelle knows what's off limits, and he goes there anyway, which is why I appreciate him, even if it's knocked down, even if it's not fall down funny. I appreciate when he goes to those dangerous places. By contrast, Andover's own Jay Leno, who is, comfortably retired. I guess he does that show about cars that I've never seen. I
haven't seen that either.
Which is fine. He's got like 1 million, cars. He's worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. He had a good run, and he's probably enjoying the demise of his successors, the Colberts and Kimmels, who are just failing miserably, getting their asses kicked by Greg Gutfeld. So Jay Leno, he's 71 now. This is really disappointing. I don't hate him. I mean, he's from Andover.
He's fine.
Right. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He did his job, made a lot of money. God bless him. Seems like an okay guy, whatever. He did the exact opposite of Chappelle. He came out and essentially, in a roundabout way, endorses cancel culture. Jay Leno on a podcast called People Every Day. Have you ever heard of that one?
I have not.
People Every Day podcast. And he's asked about cancel culture and how hard it is to do comedy. I always talk about a friend of mine who does comedy, and it depends what club he's in. If he's in a club and he feels like he's among friends, he does the old stuff, where you use some forbidden words and you attack some protected people.
Yeah.
But then if he goes on the road and it's not among friends and he thinks that someone here might
be a little more hostile,
run to TMZ, he changes and he leaves those words out of his act. And it's too bad, because those words or those riffs he goes on or those people he attacks, that's good comedy. but he has to be careful because he's not Dave Chappelle, and he will lose any opportunities he has if he gets caught, using certain words that, again, Chappelle uses, but he's too big.
Well, and he's not beholden to anybody. That's the good thing. Like when he got out of his Comedy Central contract, I think
$50 million.
Yeah, well, now yes, but I'm sure in his contract with Netflix is they cannot touch his stuff. I'm sure that's written in there. I mean, he could just bail and leave, and doesn't seem to bother him that much. He's not beholden to anybody.
And I appreciate that. I'll watch, and some of it'll piss me off. I'm sure he'll go after whatever Trump people or whatever. But again, equal opportunity offender. Jay Leno, on the other hand, Jay Leno's retired. Jay Leno is a former stand-up, allegedly a good stand-up comedian who would, like we've said, poke fun at, the president, even if he's a Democrat. He's not a total hack like Colbert and Kimmel and Seth Meyers. Anyway, he says, ask about comedy. He says, I think it's like any other thing. You either change or die. And you're like, wait a second.
I mean,
change?
yeah, but you don't lose your risk.
Says,
if you lose risk, there's no reason to listen to it.
He compares the metamorphosis of comedy to the changing of football, the NFL. He says, in football, you have certain rules. When they change the rules, if you don't conform to them, you're out of the game. He says, now everyone has a voice. You have to change the material to the times you live in, says Leno. My attitude is, look, these are the new rules. You want to adapt? If you don't get up and tell jokes then. What? Jay Leno in his past told many jokes. In fact, he's apologized for making fun of Asians because it used to be allowed. You were allowed to make some ethnic jokes, and you're not anymore. So those things have haunted him to an extent. He's not been totally canceled. Again, he still does some cable show with cars, and he still gets to, keep all his mansions and all his money. But Jay Leno's answer to cancel culture is
just give in.
Just surrender.
Roll right over.
Just there are new rules. You're not allowed to make fun of a Muslim guy's name, so you don't do it. You want to make fun of an Irish guy's name or so, go ahead. So those are the rules. By the way, when you say the rules change, they're going to keep changing, Jay. They're going to keep changing. So you're telling me in 3-4 years, as the cancel culture grows even stronger and more ominous, that the answer for the comedians, including, I assume he would include, Chappelle or Bill Burr, the Giants, they're supposed to adapt to the new rules? Are you kidding? You listen to yourself, Jay
I can't wait till Italians are protected. I'm going to really milk that when that happens.
Yeah, I know. Jay Leno will say, hey, you can't make fun of me anymore. Do you do a Jay Leno imitation?
No, I can't do it. I'm not an imitator.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, what do you mean? Yes, I can. You do it.
You got a good voice. I can't do imitations.
I don't do imitations.
Yeah, you don't even do me?
Well, every once in a while, but it's out of love. I do you.
Yeah, I see. But so I'm watching Chappelle this weekend. It's called The Closer. It looks good. I'm sure it's good and edgy and offensive, and it'll piss off everybody at some point.
He's the only comic that I am like, I anticipate and want to see his stuff. Like I'm legitimately happy to see his stuff.
I wish there were more people like him, but again, he's so big, and Bill Burr offends people too.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's good.
Yeah.
And I like, I'll tell you, it was good. It surprised me is in his last Netflix flick special was Joe Rogan. I've never seen his stand up, but he was good. I was surprised. Obviously he's topical, and he went there. He said some offensive things. You know who was terrible?
Who's terrible?
Was Pete Davidson.
Yeah, I can't imagine he would be good.
He like mails in this stand-up special. It was like 45 minutes long. It was lame.
He does not interest me at all.
I mean, he's better.
I won't see his movies.
When he plays characters on SNL, but I never saw that movie. The
King of Long Island, is that what it was?
Or King of Staten Island.
King of Staten Island.
Yeah, same thing. Whatever. I haven't seen that either. I have no
messing
interest.
up all the names.
But I will see Chappelle, and I'll give you a complete review. How's that?
What if I give you a review?
Okay,
we'll review it together.
You want to see it at the same time, and hopefully we'll disagree. See, I don't think there's any chance, zero chance that I will like The Many Saints of Newark. I don't think there's any chance.
I don't think there's any chance I'd like it
people
either.
I trust, people I like, reviewers, like I said, and Minahan and a few other people that I follow, all hated it. I mean, all hated it. It's not like The Irishman, which sucked, by the way.
Oh, no, I thought it was pretty good.
The Irishman absolutely
pretty
sucked.
good.
It was dog shit on the bottom of your shoe. It was such crap. And it was so disappointing because they had all the, obviously they had.
Everybody was there, right?
Had all the guys.
Pesci did a great job. I thought it was good.
It was terrible. Anyway, so there you go. There was some mixed reviews with The Irishman. I had to see for myself, just how bad it was. And it was bad. I had to watch it like 6 times.
I mean, the kicking scene was bad, but besides that.
but it's just too damn long. It was just
It
too
is long.
long and meandering and slow and tedious. And I hate when people do that and label it as art. Look how long and slow it is. Isn't it artsy? And by the way, News of the World with Tom Hanks does a lot of that. They drag out
Too
these
long.
scenes.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be artsy and these looks
Yep.
and these pauses. And it's like, okay, in the editing room, tighten this up. And they just don't because it doesn't feel artsy. You know, you want it to be long and boring. Anyway, I've never seen worse reviews of a movie that I thought I would like. So I'm not even going to try.
Good. No, I don't want to watch it. I'm not watching it.
And I'm not even going to try on the Fauci thing. I don't think they're going to win me over.
I think I might cancel my my Disney Plus subscription because of it. Actually, they don't have really. There's not much on there for me anyway. I like The Mandalorian. That was fun to see, but there's not much there for me.
I would never watch that because I'm a Gina Carano fan, and they booted her out.
Yeah, my cousin. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, I'm on her side of that too.
Yes, and she did nothing, just like
She
Sean
did nothing
McDonough
wrong.
did
No.
nothing, just like.
But she hasn't been doing much.
Nothing.
She hasn't been doing much since.
She did a movie for Daily Wire, correct? She works for them. She works.
In what capacity? I mean,
she made a movie deal to be in. I don't know
right.
if
That's
she's
what I'm
gonna
saying. Yeah.
write or direct, but she's going to be in.
We'll see.
Daily Wire's making movies now, and until Facebook, till the government creates that agency, and totally, I'm telling you, that's number one on their list. Go after Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
that's the goal of the new federal agency that we're going to correct, that we're going to create. They're going to go after Daily Wire and Daily Caller and Bongino. They got the death list.
Yeah,
Newsmax. They got the list, and they're coming after him. That was the whole point of the fake whistleblower. If you haven't seen it, we went over it yesterday. All right, congratulations to WEI. They re-upped with the Red Sox for like 6 more years.
How much?
They lose millions and millions, like 12 million a year. They lose millions and millions, but this is only for one reason. So the owner of the company can sit in that luxury box with John Henry and still and follow him around like a puppy. It is one of the worst business decisions ever when they signed him the first 6 times. It is a fact. They're losing a fortune, and they re-upped to do more of it. The ratings are terrible. The product is, old and outdated. They don't care.
And the facilities are so creepy. Can you imagine wanting to hang out with them? Like old man John? There's no way.
Who mumbles and hey.
I remember him like busting in on the radio one time. What did he come on EEI to defend himself? Like 6 or 7 years ago or something?
Then he went across the street because that's the kind of guy he is. EEI is paying him a fortune, 10, 12 million a year. He goes on EEI, does an interview, and then he hears somebody on the other station make fun of him. And he goes right over and storms in their station, in their studio, and gives them an interview, which they milked and marketed as they should. But he doesn't care. I mean, he thinks he's a king and we're his servants. He treats the people at the radio station like dirt. He tried to put the radio station out of business, the one that was giving him $12 million a year. Why'd you get me off on this? I was all done. I was wrapping up. Now you get me off on this ridiculous.
I like to hear it.
And congratulations to the SNL. They had the worst opening rating in 47 years. 47 years. You thought I was the only one.
Well, the pushback though is that it still beats everything else. It's still like the
4-point-something million.
Yeah,
that was half the size of the audience.
I know.
Last year.
It's not
in
good.
1 year. They lost half their audience. And by the way, a lot of the Red Sox fans and media people, Lou Merloni, were celebrating their rating. The New York Yankees game, they got 7 million people. It was the highest rating for whatever one car wild card in years. That was less than the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 4. Bengals, Jaguars got 8 million. Red Sox, Yankees got 7 million. It is this place. Every city is a football city now.
It is.
Baseball is a distant, I don't even know if it's a second, but good for them. SNL's putting up big numbers, 4 million. That's like an average night for Tucker Carlson, or The Five.
It's nothing, but it's like that across the board, though. To be fair, they're still getting more viewers than anybody else.
Yeah, but they used to get.
I know. I agree.
Appointment used to be something you had to see. But
in
anyway,
the 90s.
All right. Right. Well, that's what I go back to. Chris Farley.
Of course,
I had to see him.
He was awesome.
Adam Sandler. whatever. John Belushi. You go back in those days. But anyway, we got to wrap this up, Carano.
Okay.
Are you gonna watch Chappelle for me? I mean,
we're gonna watch it together. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll watch. Why don't we do that now?
We'll get on the phone, and I'm gonna stay in my house, but we'll just get on the phone and talk about it all the way through.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. We'll text back and forth.
That would be nice.
This is my favorite joke. Can you believe he said that?
Such a fanboy.
I know. Huh? All right, we will leave it there. Thank you to everyone for watching on. Where are we today?
Okay, we are on. Wow, we're on YouTube and Facebook today. Crazy.
Wow.
But this is the last time, remember? The last time. Monday, we're going to be on Locals free, Monday through Thursday. So just come there, grab the app, whatever. It's a good experience to see it there. And they're not going to kick us off. It's only a matter of time. If we keep broadcasting like this, we'll get kicked off
strikes
of YouTube. So
we have 2 strikes already from YouTube. And you think 3 strikes, you get a long suspension, or you get?
Oh no, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah, they'll take the.
We're going to beat the
thing from you.
This is a preemptive strike. We're going to Locals. You can see us on Locals, and you can sign up to be part of our community. You can be, if you don't want to spend the money, you get some of the content. If you want to go all in for $6 a month, you get our Friday show and a number of other little perks.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Working on. We'll be back tomorrow for our subscribers only.
Yes, so we will be on Locals tomorrow. Trish is asking what time on Locals. Same time. We'll try to do 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday on Locals as well.
And tomorrow will be 9:30 or 10 without community, but we'll give you updates. You're updating everybody, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm posting on there all the time.
You're posting all the time. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I look at all your posts.
Thank you very much.
You're good.
Do you ever like them? Do you ever thumbs up?
Yes, I have.
All right, thank you.
I'll do it more often. I always do it on Twitter. I retweet, and I think you do a terrific job.
Thank you.
I wish you were good at as you are at that at everything.
You're a bastard because I'm awesome at all this stuff, and you goddamn well know it.
All right, that'll do it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning on Locals for subscribers only. So sign up.